it is Pam and Nova. Welcome back to another episode of It's Bar Talk Podcast, where today we are going to be talking about pointe shoes.
You know them, you love them. Yeah, point shoes are it's a vague topic, but there's a lot to talk about regarding point shoes. So this will be fun.
Yeah. So how many years ago did you get your first pair of pointe shoes?
Well, I don't know what age I was, but I know I was in fifth grade. And what happened was I had done, or this was like back in the day at my studio, you had to be a certain age to do the 4-week intensive, the big summer intensive at the studio. Um,
Mhm.
and so certain kids younger than that age would get like invited, I guess. So I got invited to do it. I was stoked, but I was too young to go on point because I think I was 9 or 10. Um, like too young, considered too young in the dance studio I was at to go on point. So I like they took point classes and stuff, but it was like the lowest level, so I just did everything on flat. So then it was right before winter break, and my mom had actually gotten the heads up beforehand because my mom would do hair. My mom knew everything about that dance studio because she did the hair for one of the, I guess, like dance teachers slash front desk receptionist. And that girl, she wore so many hats, so many hats. Like she really, anyways. So she had kind of gotten the heads up. They're gonna get told that they can get their point shoes. So it was, oh my God. I'm like, I'm all of a sudden I'm 9 years old again, or I'm 10, like whatever the age. So, um, it was the end of like the class. It was right before winter break, and we got told like she videotaped us too, which was awesome. It was like a gender reveal, but for point shoes.
For
So
pointe
she
shoes.
she videotaped us, and then she goes, "You guys, you're gonna start like you guys can go get your point shoes, like whatever the video said." And it was like, "You guys are gonna start doing point," and we all screamed, and it was so exciting. And then like because we knew it was coming, then like the next year of like the next kids, we were all like waiting outside the studio, like, are they gonna get told? Can they get their point shoes? So it was really fun, but. Yeah. And I remember it was fifth grade because there was a photo of me in my first pair of point shoes ever in my fifth grade yearbook, sickled off the box and all, in my living room, holding onto my stair railing in my Nutcracker t-shirt. She was such a little ballerina,
Little baby.
little baby.
I was I was around the same age. I was 10, and mine wasn't there wasn't a group of us at the time. We had like this split level ballet class on Mondays and Wednesdays,
Hmm.
and it was where it was the level threes and then the level 3Xs. And the 3Xs all had their point shoes and the threes didn't. And then so we would take like ballet class, and then it was like pre-point for us, I guess.
Hmm.
And then one day at the end of class, she was just like, "Hey, by the way, like you can go get point shoes now." And I was like, "Oh, yay, so exciting." And then I did.
It's so
And then
exciting.
I was like, I was a little baby. I was so small.
Hmm.
You were 10 too, but like I feel like
Oh,
now I
but I
see a
was
lot of
so
kids.
small. I didn't
Yeah,
grow until I was about
mm,
13 or 14. So I was rocking in like
same,
4'3" for most of my life. And then
same.
all of a
I was
sudden
like,
I literally
I was
like
seriously.
it was growing like 10
That's what
inches
happened to
in
me. I
one summer.
shot up like a
Yeah,
string bean.
yeah. So,
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's like every week you need new clothes because your
hmm.
legs are longer.
Hmm.
And it's like, what is happening? That's exactly what happened to me. But yeah, I was really little, and I don't know how they even had point shoes that small. But my first pair were a little
Hmm.
pair of Russian points. They were hard as a rock. I still have them. They're like
Yeah.
so small. They look like this.
Yep.
Crazy. Yeah. What were yours?
Mine were
Do you remember?
Grishkos, and they were 1X
Okay.
width. So
Ooh,
literally, they're
I
this
struggle. I
wide.
wear.
They are so narrow. Like it looks like I didn't even have toes. That's how narrow they are.
if you put your foot, if you put your foot in a Grishko now, how many X's?
Oh, well,
Do you know?
probably like 6, like an embarrassing amount. Not
Yeah,
6. I still
mine's
have pretty narrow
no.
feet,
That's not
but
embarrassing.
But
Mine
like,
is 6.
the more you do point, the more
They're
bunions, the more
narrow. They're
deformities
narrow.
you get.
Grishkos are narrow shoes.
Yeah. But I think the last, because I did wear Grishkos
So
at one point, and I think it was like a 5 or a 4X, so yeah.
it's like crazy how like everything changes.
I know.
Um, Speaking of Russian points, since that was my first pair of shoes, is it true that they're changing the name of Russian points? They're not Russian points anymore.
A Russian. I knew they changed the name from Grishkos to Nikolai's for,
Yeah, no, they
but
have Nikolai, but they have the other day someone went into the store and they asked for Russian points. This is someone in my company, and they said that it's no longer called Russian point. I forget what she said it was called, but they got like mad at her for calling them Russian point. Not mad, but you know how when like a
yeah,
point shoe fitter at a small dance store will get like sassy with you if you say too much. That's an interesting topic to discuss as well. When I look it up, it just says Russian point, but someone really did say the other day that they're no longer called Russian points.
weird. Or maybe you're supposed to call it by like the shape now? Because they have like the, oh God, what kind of, oh, I wore Rubens. Ooh, I had like a visceral reaction when you said Russian points because going back to that growth spurt, that was the brand of shoes that I wore from probably age 12 to 14, maybe. And that was like my like peak growing years was like 13, 14. So not only did I have minimal to no arches, okay, still do. Like my feet were literally growing at a rate which like we could not keep up with buying new shoes. Like I would cut the like
Yeah.
drawstring out of the backs of my shoes and like cut holes because like I my feet literally couldn't fit in them anymore. So then I would try like just whatever going down to one paper towel because the toe pad wouldn't fit. Oh my God, it was horrible. So then like and they're so I hate I don't hate a point shoe brand, but I hate Russian points. They're so hard, like they just don't work for my feet at all. And I like to
That's
feel the
so.
floor in point shoes, which like that is not a brand where you feel
Mhm.
the floor. You are popping right up.
It's difficult. Yeah. I so right now I'm wearing literally 4 different brands of point shoes and I'm just switching back and forth.
Hmm.
And the ones that I am wearing the most, they are Russian points, but they're old eBay Russian points that I
Yeah, but
had
the
5 pair of.
ones
They're
that you were,
Bravas.
yeah, I was gonna say, because the Rubens had like this really thick sole underneath,
Rubens are mhm.
and it had like
And
stitching
they're
in
that
it,
like super
like Doc
shiny
Marten stitching.
satiny.
Yeah, that had like Doc Marten stitching in the sole, so it was like you're so far off the floor. And then I was like, poor thing. Like, actually, I was gonna
That
say
was
like someone should
the
have told her, but someone actually did. Did I tell you this story about the teacher?
no.
He literally, okay. Well, she didn't necessarily like me because I it was during one of the summer intensives. It's always during the summer intensive. I whatever. I pulled out an impression of her and it was pretty good. It was pretty spot on to a point where all of my friends went up to the one ballet teacher, not her, one ballet teacher and said, Pam can do an impression. Pam can do an impression of her. Like they show her. So then I did it. And he, like, I had never, this was like a stern Russian man that taught us. He was on the floor laughing. That's how good the impression was because it was spot on. And he was like, it's not. And then he called another teacher in. And then he was like, it's not making fun of her. It's just so fantastic. It's exactly what she sounds like. So then, of course, these ballet teachers start running their mouths and they're saying that I can do an impression of her. So then the next summer, she comes back and she goes, I hear one of you can do an impression of me. And I froze. I was like, because she was so scary. Anyways, she didn't necessarily like me because of that. I needed to get that story out,
No.
set up what's happening. Oh my God. So, anyways, it's in one of the summer intensive. It's called the 2 week. She's teaching, and then it's the point class, and she's about to start the music, and she's before she starts, I'm standing like right by the stereo, so I did it to myself. So she turns around and she goes, and point those boat feet. Turns back around, hits play. And I'm sitting there like, like directly at me. So then like whenever we drew like stick figures of ourselves, it was like me and then like sailboats on my feet is what I would draw.
On your
So
feet.
I don't so then afterwards, thank God, one of the angels of the dance studio, the nice older girl. You know what I mean? How like you idolize like the older girls. That's
Yeah.
what you call them because they're like a year or two older than you. So then she was like, I wear Russian points. Like, I didn't like them. Like, here are some brands that I like to wear after that class. And I was like, thank you. Because I was literally about to cry because I was like, she called my feet boats. So that's why I don't like Russian points.
I just remember, so like doing wearing a Reuben, the bottom of that shoe really is so thick and it's
You're
so
rocking and a rolling.
uneven.
You
And
really are a ship on water. Like,
you really are. It really is a boat because if you're doing an adagio in the center, it is so hard to stand on your own 2 feet because that shoe just goes side to side to side to side. It really does. But the rest of their shoes, I've worn 3 or 4. I have worn so many point shoes in my
oh
life
my
trying to
God.
find the one
I
that I
think I've
like,
worn
and I
nearly
still
every single
haven't.
brand. You still haven't found the one you
I
like?
believe I have as well. Oh,
What's
no.
like your
I
favorite?
because the shoe that I like, the problem is the shoe that I like I can't afford. I love a Freed. I love
I was
like
about
a
to say my
just a
favorite is a Freed.
classic Freed. It molds to my foot so well, so easily. They're the most comfortable to dance in. They
Hmm
look beautiful. But
hmm
the problem is that they die so quickly, which is fine, but it's not fine in a situation where I can't afford my shoes
Well,
because
also like not
obviously like we have a shoe stipend with every company that I've
right,
danced with, but I go through them faster than the stipend allows
right. Well,
and
also we
I
need
got
to
to
make
pay
it
rent.
clear for people watching or listening. Nova has like chunky banana feet. Like she has like she has a beautiful arch, but it's a fat arch. Like
It
there's a
is. It's
difference. You know what I mean? So it's hard to like A, find shoes for that, and B, find shoes that last longer. Like I
my
don't
arches, if I point my foot, so like I've only seen this on one other person in my life and like I don't know, honestly I don't even know what it comes from, but like if I point my foot, the bottom of my arch has like abs. It has these muscles on it that are
Mhm.
like
So it's
ew,
like and
which is
obviously your feet
cool.
are really strong too. So it's like the stronger your foot is, the more it's gonna break in a shoe. So I don't have that struggle. I never did, but I had like other struggles of like getting on my box, which is a little embarrassing, but it's okay. We're over it now.
Is there anything that you do like, so yeah, right now obviously I'm not wearing Freeds, that's what I love, but
hmm
right now I'm going back and forth. I have like a pair of Nikolai shoes that I like. They're actually Novas. That's the
That's
name
so
of them.
funny.
So I have Novas. I have I had a 2007, which is really similar to the Nova, but I hate it for some reason. It's just like too just
Yeah.
doesn't feel right. There's nothing wrong with the shoe, it just doesn't feel right on my foot.
hmm
I have a couple pair of Bravas. I have my Suffolks, the Stellars, that are the most similar to a Freed, but I don't like them because they twist on my feet a lot, and I have to do a lot of like customization to make them
hmm
actually stay on my foot. And then I still have a pair of gainers from when they were the original gainers before they
hmm
switched over to the European fabric. And I am milking those when I have something important to do or like something where I want my foot to be really comfortable. That's what I wear. I have an audition next week and that's what I'm wearing. Like it's
hmm
probably going to be one of the last time or two that I'm able to wear that pair of shoes because I've had them for so long and they are shot. I keep sewing the fabric
hmm
back together and sewing the holes together, but I just love that shoe. So
Yeah.
those are the four that I'm kind of going through right now. But what do you have like when you are wearing a shoe, do you have specific ways that you customize your shoes or do you wear them straight out of the box after you've bent them and broke them a little?
I mean, it's never straight out of the box just because my foot, like, even at a fitting, it couldn't handle that. Like, I'd have to, like, either, okay, well, there were certain times when I would go to a good fitting with an actual like trained point shoe fitter or someone who has
Right.
experience in ballet.
Right.
And they basically just crank the shoe in half. Um, or at least where the heel is. So it's kind of like three-quartering the shoe at the fitting, just so it can like help me prop up. Because I always had trouble getting over my box. There were other fittings that I would go to where they just put it on and like look at me and be like, "Okay, go stand in first." And I'm like, "I'm not gonna be able to get over and I'm gonna feel terrible about myself because I can't." But like customizing, it kind of depends on what I'm doing and what the shoe is. I wore Freeds and I loved Freeds. And that was when I had a professional fitting. We went to New York after high school graduation and
Hmm.
to go to the Freed store so I knew like which makers to order from.
Hmm.
Uh which wait, I do have a favorite maker. What's your favorite maker?
To be honest, I never wore them enough that like I wore one maker so many times that I knew if I liked or disliked it. I was going driving into Philadelphia every time I had the chance and scrounging and grabbing
That's
whatever
fair.
shoe they had in my size.
That's valid. My favorite maker is Maltese Cross. A kisses to Maltese Cross. Like that was the only time that I felt like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like so like oh my God, screaming in like the highest girly pitch voice ever, like so excited. But I
We should
would
say, like, for people, if anyone's watching this that doesn't know, like, what that means, like, the maker of the shoe, there's actually a human being that makes your shoe. So they
oh
all
yeah.
feel a little bit different because
Hmm.
they're making them with their hands. They're handcrafting these shoes.
Yeah.
So that's what she means by, like, her favorite maker is someone is making the shoe. It's
Yeah,
not
and
a
it's
machine
stamped
making
onto the bottom of the Freed. So like the other maker I wore was a heart. But they're all different, so they're kind of that's the kind of beauty of Freed where they understand the fact that that everyone has a different foot. That
it.
feet are like snowflakes, and no snowflake is the same. That's so stupid.
No, it's true.
Sorry.
It makes
But
sense.
it's true, like no foot is the same. Um, so they kind of understand that better than other point shoes do or other point shoe brands do. So I wore, I think, classic Pro 90s, and I loved the Maltese crosses. What I would do is be to stop them from dying so fast, I would put duct tape on the inside from about where the toe pad like met the ball of my foot to just the back. I didn't rip the heel out or anything because I thought that was uncomfortable. Um, but like the nails I would pull out of the bottom and then Uh, I think I was bored and I should have just gotten a job instead. But I was like darning my point shoes all the time because I thought that helped. It really didn't. Um, but I got really good at darning point shoes, Lex. But yeah, that was kind of it. I didn't like cut and rip and refigure the point shoes as I've seen like other people doing on TikTok. I did
Right.
know a lot of people that worked for them, but it didn't work for me just because I didn't think it was comfortable. And I still don't think it's comfortable. Even looking at it now, I'm like, oh, that's like gonna cut up the bottom of your shoe. But yeah, I would do that and I would make sure that my shoes are as three-quartered as possible because my arch breaks closest to my heel. So then it popped me
Hmm.
up that way. And lots of jet glue because I'd like one pair of shoe and then I'd be like, I'm going to hold on to you for the rest of
Yeah.
my life. So there's still like old crusty ass Freeds that I have and like even with me now and I'm not wearing them. I just can't get rid of them. I'm attached.
The only thing that I do that's like really different is I like to pinch the sides back by my heel and like sew them,
Mhm.
make them a little smaller, kind of taper the heel more because
Mhm.
I have wide toes. Like my toes are like this, but then my
Mhm.
heel is like this.
Yeah.
So I've never found a shoe that is tapered enough that it's just so perfectly snugs my heel. So I like to sew them up on the sides and taper the
Mhm.
heel a little more, make it a little tighter. But I don't
Yeah.
really, other than that, like my customizations to my shoes are far less than anyone I know. Like I kind of
Yeah.
just slap those things on and roll with it,
Yeah.
which I feel fortunate to be able to do. But there are a couple things I've tried. I hate darning them. I don't like the way that it makes me feel
Mhm.
up on my shoes. It just feels really uncomfortable to me. Um, I've done a couple other things. I do kind of enjoy the way it feels to three-quarter a shoe, like to cut it out. But don't really have to. Like I know the shoe would die
Right.
so much faster with me if I did that. But it does. I do like the way it looks. Like if my if I do a little tendu, it just is like.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. But I kind of yeah, I don't really do anything too crazy.
Yeah.
But I
And
know there's a shoe that you wanted to discuss, and I
yeah.
want to hear your
Well,
thoughts on.
there's a few things too. And I think what we were just talking about, the alterations, we're talking about like old school point shoes. They're still made, so that it's like, but it's made the old school method where they're handmade with the glue. Like my one friend has a gluten allergy and she actually like can't use certain or can't wear certain brands of shoes because I think it like she gets an allergic reaction on her feet. Like that's the type of glue that they're using. So it's like
That's a
handmade.
classic shoe.
Right. There are newer shoes that are being made. One of the I think the largest brand or most well-known brand is Gainer Minden, where it's a plastic shoe, which I love a Gainer. I think they're so comfortable. Do they
They
look good
are
on my
very
feet?
comfortable.
They don't really look good on my feet. They don't, but they're so comfortable.
I love a gainer in a rehearsal where you have bruised toenails, you have some blisters, and you just need to put on a shoe that's not going to make you go every time you stand on your toes.
hmm
And
Yeah,
gainers are just they're a comfort shoe. It's like a sneaker of
it
point shoe to
is. It
me
is.
personally. It's like my New Balance and my gainers.
It
Those are
is.
my comfort shoes.
But I also think gainers shouldn't be worn by students.
I
And
agree.
there's
I think you have to learn how to work through your feet, and I think
right,
that's
gainers,
something
there's
that
no demi points. There's not a demi point in gainers. There's like a really low one and then like a really high one. So you're kind of just like propping up, which I kind of see like a lot of students wearing gainers, and I just want to be like, no, girl, no. Like,
yeah, it's a
but I
lot
also
harder.
get it. It's a lot, it's a financial investment, but it lasts a lot longer because realistically, kind of what we're talking is if you are wearing Freeds and if you have a flexible foot and you're wearing them a lot and you're whatever, if you're going through a pair a week, that's about $100 a week. If you're wearing a Gainer Minden,
Yeah,
it'll
when I was wearing Freeds, I was wearing probably two pair a week.
right. So that's about for Nova's math, that's about $200 a week.
A week.
So a Gainer Minden is like roughly 120, 130, $130, which is a lot for a point shoe. But once you start wearing Laducas, that number seems minimal. Um, so uh the gainer is it's genius in the way that it's plastic because like I mentioned earlier with the duct tape, sweat the shoe absorbs sweat and that's what makes it break down because it's wood and like very thin layers of wood and whatever. So that's what makes the shoe die is when you're sweating in the foot. That's not a sentence. It's when your foot is
What happened?
sweating, not when you're
When
sweating
you're
in the
sweating
foot.
in the foot.
When you're sweating, when you're sweating in the foot. So a gainer doesn't do that because it's plastic, obviously. So it lasts a lot longer. So you can wear, like Nova's saying that she's had this pair of gainers forever. You can wear, like they die after time. They die because they get too malleable. But you can wear a gainer a lot longer. So it's more of an investment and it's better financially. The other new shoe that's coming out that's
Wait,
it's
before you mention this
Mhm.
one, there is the Electra that came a few
I
years
don't
ago
I don't know
with
the
the
Electra.
interchangeable. The Electra, I'm pretty sure is the one with the interchangeable shanks. So it's almost like very it's very similar to the outs I don't know what the outside is similar to. I want to say a sock, but it's not a sock because it is still a point shoe, but it's um I'm looking it up right now. I really wanted to try them. But they have interchangeable shanks, so you can change out the shank in your point shoe.
Mm-hmm.
When they start to die, you can like switch it up and put a new shank in. And they're by the brand that I can never say the name of this company. And I hate that I can't say that. But it maybe we'll find out. Maybe I'll find out the answer right now.
Is
Is
it
it
so
Sodanza or
I thought it was
Sozanka?
Sodonka. I'm a
Well, see,
Sodonka.
I hear like 50% of people call it Sodanza, and then the other 50% call it Sodonka. So I just say, those flat shoes that I wear, I don't ever say what they're called. The SD16s, because I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually so true. I don't actually know.
I
That's really
don't know either,
weird.
but they made a point shoe and it's called the Electra and it has interchangeable shanks. So look it up sometime because that is a
Okay.
weird concept to me. To
All
just you
right.
can
I
like
think I've
pop
heard
it,
of
take
it.
the
I think
shank
I saw
out,
it on
and stick it in
TikTok
the
once, but
pocket.
I was like, that's not real, and I swiped.
No, it's real because remember when we were doing Paquita and our rehearsal director for Paquita when we did it together also sells point shoes.
Oh,
He's a point shoe fitter and
you're
he
right.
was talking to
Oh my God, I
talking to us
remember.
about them. That
Mm-hmm.
was like 2 years ago. So that was I think the first time I saw those was 2 or 3 years ago, but that's another new innovation of a point shoe that I find interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then go ahead. You can go ahead and talk about this one.
Okay, well, yeah, these are called, I think they're called actable point shoes. They're a 3D printed point shoe. Um, and it's so I think it's supposed to be better for the environment, like more sustainable because it doesn't die as fast, and it's also you can basically just switch out the part. So it's kind of like the Electra in that sense, but it doesn't the thing that makes this one different, it's it doesn't have a set and outside, which the point shoe is kind of known for. I mean, like you look at the point shoe emoji, even if you know nothing about dance, and you're like, ah, little tiny pink shoe with ribbons. Like it doesn't look like that. And yes, it does have
Ballet core.
ribbons.
Look at all of the shoes they're making right now for all of the ballet core lines.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started on ballet core. That's another podcast episode. Which, oh, speaking of the point emoji, this is totally a sidebar, but I'm glad we picked up on it. Have you seen all this stuff that Misty Copeland is doing to get multiple skin colors in the point shoe emoji?
Oh no, I haven't.
Yeah, which is also another topic about which I'm a fan of because I know my pasty ass fits the pink point shoe just fine. You know, I look like I haven't seen the sun in years. And looking at Nova, I'm thinking she can say the same thing. But I love the fact that like brands are now being more inclusive of skin tones. I think it's a little like late, but I'm glad it's happening. I mean, it had to,
Yeah, there are a lot of. I think there are a couple now. It was
yeah.
just one for a while. It was just gainers for a while that were making all the different shades of
I think Free
skin
does and I
tones for
think
point
Block
shoes.
does.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly which other I have to look it up. But yeah. So anyway,
progress.
but yes, she's gunning for getting more skin tones in the point shoe color emoji for more inclusivity, which I think is awesome. If there's anyone to lead that campaign, I think she's the perfect candidate. I mean,
Yeah, she is.
she's been a trailblazer since what, like age 14? She's incredible. Um, so yeah, the point shoe emoji, you know what a point shoe looks like. This does not look like that. This looks like a sock that you're standing on with like a circular ribbon attached. So when I saw it, I immediately was like, it's like that brat sound that's like, ew. That was just my first judgment of it because I'm like, that's not a point shoe. Like, but then doing more research into it, I was like, okay, I might be able to get behind this. However, I think this is a brand where it's only made, or not only made, but I think primarily made for kind of one foot shape, which
Mhm.
I don't think is mine. And I see other people like dancing on them and stuff, and it's always like, they want to send their products out to people who are going to look good in their products. Coming at it from my perspective, I love gainers because they're comfortable. I don't look great in a gainer because it doesn't match well with my foot shape. And I feel like this is kind of the same thing. And looking at photos and videos of it, it also kind of resembles a Suffolk point shoe. A Suffolk, I don't know.
A
That
little
brand.
bit. It's like chunky to the
Yeah,
toe.
because and I did like the Suffolks that I wore, but the toes don't point. So not only was I like and with my struggles in point shoes, not only was I struggling arch-wise, but like to also have to struggle like toe-wise is kind of wild, you know? So it just kind of looks like toe and then it's like arch and then it's heel and then up to the leg, which is never something I had. I never had that like toe arch situation. So I can list off like plenty of, of my friends and colleagues that I think would look great in the point shoe, but I know that that's not for me. And I don't think they're gunning
What
that
is this
it's
brand called again? I want to look at it again.
actable, act able. That's what brought me to it.
I've seen them before, but I as you're talking about them, I just need to look at them again.
Right. But you can what's cool about it is it's 3D printed, which is very cool and like at this point being in 2024, you'd expect technology like this to be on the scene. Um and you can buy different parts to like interchange them. So it's the same kind of concept as a gainer where it lasts longer and it's also sustainable or it's more sustainable for the environment because they're, they want to like cut back on whatnot and um you only have to buy certain parts. You don't have to like buy a whole new shoe, which I think the entire thing is cool. I will say though, I think that this is a great idea for, I guess, male identifying dancers to wear point shoes
That's true.
because I can totally see that working for them.
Actually, looking at that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times the struggles that I've heard of male dancers who want to wear point shoes, they can't find point shoes in their sizes, which is
Right.
totally valid. Men and women have different feet sizes.
Right.
But also we're entering a new darn, I don't remember the dancer's name, but there's a lot more, gender fluid dancers coming onto the scene, and that's if you can eliminate one of their struggles of like not having the correct shoe sizes, I think good for you. Have more inclusivity, and especially since it's like a sock, basically. I'm not saying it as a sock to be like
No,
demeaning
it
towards
looks
the
like a
brand. It
sock. To
it
be
looks like a
honest,
sock.
I really enjoy like the concept of trying to make a longer lasting shoe, a more sustainable shoe, a more comfortable shoe. I I'm behind that. I hate the way they look. I
Because it looks like a sock, which it's
hate them.
it's and you know what, good
They're
for them. Good for them for making a bold jumping off point to be like
but
this is what we're going with. I get it, but it's not
it's
something that
not a point shoe. It looks like
right.
someone literally did took their Uniqlo socks and shoved something in the bottom of them so they could stand on them.
But
That's what it looks like.
yeah. And
Really.
apparently they are really comfortable too. I I don't think I'll be trying a pair anytime soon. That's just not what my dance career is leading me towards. But I do think it is really cool where if you are the type of dancer who would find success in these point shoes, I think that's awesome that there is a brand that is like inclusive and whatnot. I can't say that's me, but I'm also an ex-ballet dancer who now spends $400 on a pair of LaDuca boots. So don't question my choices. But
I
they
think
are
the
expensive.
reason
These shoes are expensive. And it's the same as like a gainer where it's like, well, you're gonna pay a lot of money because it'll last longer. But I think what was it,
I'm just
275?
thinking about it in a sense.
245 for a pair of socks.
Yikes. Yikes. It would, okay. I'm imagining, let me set the scene.
Okay, set the scene.
YGP.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at Youth America Grand Prix, and you know how everyone has their contemporary pieces with their point shoes. We love them. We hate them.
I hate them.
Maybe. I don't know. I love them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have differing opinions. Um, but I'm imagining like the nude leotard pieces or the just a leotard pieces, and they would look very cool. Those shoes would look very cool in that setting. You put a bunch of dancers on stage to do Swan Lake in a pancake tutu, nobody's getting away with wearing that shoe. It would look awful. So it's like modern, like they fit very well in like a modern sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like their new, innovative, cool, edgy look to them, but they're not. It's not a classical ballet shoe, and I'm such a stickler for the classics. I love a classic look.
I think the thing that's hard about the topic of classics and ballet. I mean, obviously, it's called classical ballet. Classical ballet, which this is me just touching lightly on a very broad topic that probably needs to be talked about more in depth. Future episode.
Next episode.
Mental note, future episode. Classical ballet is so stuck in the past, to put it lightly. It's so stuck in the past. And I get it because you're honoring the history of classical ballet. and it is something it's been around for centuries, you know? And I think that's what makes it really cool, but because of that, we're so dancers, even dancers, and I think also spectators and lovers of classical ballet are so touchy, I guess for lack of a better word, about changing the
Mm-hmm.
classics.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so I think that's why like whenever ballet company does something, they have like in their seasons or whatnot, they have like one really grounded classical ballet to like pay tribute to that or to make sure, that's still being rooted in that. So there are areas like a modern or a contemporary piece. Like I could see whatever ballet X dancers wearing point shoes and doing this.
That's what I was thinking. I was
Right.
thinking
Like
about
I
ballet
just
X
saw
dancers.
my friend just sent me a video of I think it was like Sylvie Guillaume doing in the middle somewhat elevated. And I was like, oh, that'd be perfect for these kind of point shoes. You don't need the classical ribbons with the pink and whatnot, you know? So there are situations
Mm-hmm.
where it's like that, but I think you're right. I think it's gonna take for someone to want to do like Swan Lake classical ballet, it's not gonna it's gonna be very difficult for this point shoe to come onto the scene that way. And for it to already like
Yeah.
be making kind of like I guess its mark in the dance world because it did come on the scene and everyone was like, "What is this?" You know.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see down the line, if this brand takes or if it's just
I
going to
just
be
want to
like
know.
talked about as like the sock. I keep calling it the
I want to
sock.
know how they feel.
I
You know
know,
what?
like,
I want to
wouldn't
know
you
how they
want to like try
feel.
them on
I'm
once?
like
But
sitting here
yeah,
thinking about my schedule. Like, when can I pick up a shift? And try to make the money to buy those shoes. I just want to know what they feel like.
yeah, yeah.
I literally don't. I don't have any time to pick up any shifts anytime. But
I know. But
just
yes.
it's fascinating. It's a fascinating concept. I hate
Mhm.
them. I hate them from like a viewer standpoint. But
But it's like
I
it's
want to see what they
intriguing.
feel like.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
intriguing.
Oh, totally. So yeah. Classical ballet is stuck in the past. These shoes are very not. These are very modern, obviously, with the 3D printing of it all. So it's interesting to see how they go together because upon first look, I know I was like, they don't go together. That's two separate entities. Like you can't, that's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
You cannot compare. But then the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, wait, there is a lot of room where this could be successful. But I also know that, I also know the classical ballet world and leaving it you realize how stuck and dated it is, you know. So it's interesting to see and it's interesting to think about and it's interesting to like to sit and wait and watch what happens as it's all kind of unfolding.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to try them. Maybe someday we'll have an episode where the shoes have been tested.
We get
Probably
an
not, but
email from
maybe.
them, we blow up from this episode and we get an email from them like stop calling them socks, try it for yourself.
Send me a pair. I'll
Like I'm
try them.
sorry, I didn't mean to call it a sock. It just looks like a sock.
I just wonder, okay, imagine you put the shoe on. Okay, setting the scene again. You
Okay.
have the shoe on. You're in the studio. You, it's time for the coda at the end of class. You go to do 32 fouettes in this sock. How's it staying on your foot? Like I don't get it. Like every plie
Well,
in
there's
in
ribbon.
a
Ooh, you're
imagine a
right.
short sock, an ankle sock. It slides down. It moves. It that's why I don't like dancing in short socks. I only like dancing in long socks because the short sock scrunches up. So
Well,
imagine
it
you
looks
are
like it
doing
covers a decent amount. It goes up behind the entire heel.
I just like can't imagine that thing staying on my foot to do 32 fouettes. I really can't.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Like every plie, that thing is gonna slide. It's gonna slide down.
Yeah,
Just what I'm imagining. So I
right.
do need to try them, but the expensiveness of it all really,
Yeah,
yeah,
this like it is popping out. Like the top of the arch is popping out.
her foot is
I know. She has a gorgeous feet.
it's popping. Yeah, see how it's like scrunched in the back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My ain't no way. Every single plie, my foot's coming out of that thing.
I'm sure it's like a compression sock though. It's not like a Nike sock.
Okay, see, in my head, I'm imagining Nike sock feeling.
No,
And like,
I'm sure it's a compression sock. I'm sure it's not moving, but
ooh, this
we
is a
also haven't
gorgeous
tried it.
photo. Do you want to wear a sock? A $300 sock?
Obviously, I'm not gonna get the $300 sock. I have rent to pay, okay? New York City ain't cheap. I'm just trying to see it from
No, I
that
get. I really do get the concept. Like I'm all gung ho for the concept, but the
window.
look has to. It can't look like that. It
Yeah.
just can't.
Well, maybe if they change the look or if they alter it.
If
Honestly,
they
or
alter
keep
the
it.
look and they give me a 3D printed point shoe that's gonna last a really long time and it's gonna keep our landfills a little less full,
That's so
absolutely
true.
will I wear that shoe. But
Well, who knows? Maybe
if you're
someone will
gonna
make
charge
up
me $300 for a sock that's gonna look absolutely like trash in a pancake tutu, no, I'm not doing it.
well, maybe someone will come up with take this and run with it and then,
They
make
should.
the shoe for dancers' dreams. And then they're
I
still
challenge you, all the viewers, go 3D print us some
it's my
shoes.
mom and my dad.
My little brother. Um,
They're
yeah,
making 3D printed
okay.
point shoes. Yeah, go make a 3D printed point shoe and then come back to us. Why not?
I think I think my boyfriend's 3D printed things before. Maybe he can study point shoes and 3D print us some point shoes.
Actually, I should get a job as a point shoe fitter because I understand the anger behind some of the dancers between point shoe fitters. There were times where like company members would offer to go with students, which I thought was really nice. But like,
Yeah, I even now like you have to go to the right place, man, because if you go to and I understand small businesses, I love it. I want to support, but if you don't have people that know how to professionally fit shoes at your dance store, it can make the
Mhm.
situation very uncomfortable. Even now,
Mhm.
like, have you ever had a situation where you've gone in as a professional dancer and you know exactly what your wants and needs are and what you're looking for, and you ask to try a specific shoe, and then they look at your foot and then they say, I don't think that would work for you. And then they get out a bunch of other shoes that you know you didn't want to try. But that's happened to me. I've had an exact shoe that I knew exactly what I wanted to try, and I had my
Wasn't I with
second
you for one
change.
of these?
Yes.
Oh, is this the
And
okay?
yes, we can't say where. And I was like, this is what I want. And then they bring me out like five different pairs of shoes that are nothing like the shoe that I wanted to try. And then I'm like, ah. And now people are doing this thing where they're like, if you don't buy a pair of shoes, there's a store down where near where I am now, and I was gonna go try on point shoes the other day. But if you don't buy a pair of point shoes, you have to pay them $50 just for letting them try, like them helping you try shoes on.
That's ridiculous.
$50.
That's
I don't
ridiculous.
have $50 to give you. And if you're gonna, and I know the experience would be the same because it's every time. This is like a whole nother, I could go on about this for hours,
Right.
but it's every time I struggle so much with knowing what I want and then being told I'm wrong about
Right.
my own foot.
It's like shopping for the like right pair of jeans. It takes forever to find. You're not gonna find it on the first try.
Right. And
But you
like,
don't get charged to try on jeans. Like, it's
right.
ridiculous.
And if I say that I know what feels good and what doesn't feel good, like I found a pair of shoes once that I loved and I was like, I love these. They feel amazing. And I got talked out of them because the point shoe fitter thought the other pair looked better on my feet. The
Yeah,
pair that
no.
was super uncomfortable.
There was one time in a point shoe fitting. I was younger. I was because I went with my mom when she was driving me, and then we bought the shoes, and then we got into the car, and I just started crying. And I was like,
Yeah, I
I
did
can't
that
wear
as a
these. These are not the
21-year
right
old.
ones." So then I had to like go in there. My mom was upset, obviously, because it was like she was like, "Why did I just pay for these then?" So we went in and we returned them, but it was so like it's really difficult to find the right pair of
I
point
did
shoes.
that at age 21. I bought a pair of point shoes because it was that pair. I found a pair that I loved and I liked them a lot and I had driven an hour away to the store and then I leave and I'm like, "Wait a second. I just left the pair of shoes that I really wanted in the store and I got this pair because she told me the other pair looked bad." And of course, as a dancer like being criticized or
Mhm.
not criticized but like if they say something doesn't look good, I'm
Yeah.
gonna find a reason that I also don't think it looks good. I'm gonna be
Right.
like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like
Like, oh
me
yes,
and
you
my
have some kind of authority.
body
I agree with
dysmorphia
you. I am
brain
a
is gonna be
dancer.
like,
Like, yeah.
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 So
So
I don't
it's
know. It's uncomfortable.
I know. You gotta
We need to do
dancers need
better
to
in
learn
that
to
regard.
advocate for themselves, especially when it comes to point shoes.
Yeah,
But
when it comes to a lot of things. But
yeah,
that is a topic for the next episode because we have to wrap this one up.
so true. But yeah,
I
there's
have
a
to go
lot.
pack my suitcase for an audition. Ah!
Good luck. So yeah, if you, I guess, if you do have any point shoe questions, because we clearly know all, we are the knower of all point shoes, just reach out to us on our social media on, what is it? Let me get the
It's Bar
names.
Talk Pod.
It's Bar
It's
Talk.
Bar Talk Podcast.
Yep.
It's Bar Talk Podcast
It's
on
linked in the
Instagram.
description because we're getting better at this. It's linked in the description. You can also DM us privately on Instagram if you're not about to DM a podcast, whichever.
Yeah, if you don't wanna talk to Pam, you just wanna talk to me. I'll keep it a secret.
Yeah, that's true. Nova probably knows more than me anyways.
I'm just
Okay, well, that's our episode on point shoes. I'm sure there's more that we can talk about too, but another time. Another time, another
I
place.
really want to like do a devil pay. Bye. Oh, I needed that. My knee just crunched.
I
My
heard
whole
it.
knee just crunched.
Oh my God.
Oh. Oh,
Nova.
should I try to crack? Can we do a whole episode where we do ASMR with cracking everything on the microphones?
Guys, we got new
That we
microphones
just don't
and
talk at all.
yeah, we're kind of
And Nova doesn't know
ecstatic
how to use
about.
hers.
Nova doesn't. Oh yeah, well,
I could crack my hip right now with this microphone. Wait a second. I'm gonna walk over here. I'm gonna do this. You
well,
don't have to
guys,
put
thank
this
you
in.
so much for watching. Be sure to like and
Oh,
subscribe the video and comment. Send us any recommendations, questions that you want us to talk about or you want to hear more about. Feel free to reach out. Yeah, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.